Good morning, everybody. This is Stephen Pugh of the Home Bible College. We are going to give an introduction to the June studies for the second year of the Home Bible College. Now, those of you that began in January will discover that this month you will have completed half of the Old Testament. You won't just have read it, you will have read it carefully and prayerfully, and you'll have thought about it. You'd have had an opportunity to listen to the password of the day, and also to read the small commentary each day. And at the beginning of the month we start at the very end of Chronicles, the very last chapter of Chronicles, where the children of Israel are being taken away in captivity. In fact, it's actually not the children of Israel, it's the children of Judah. The two southern tribes, Judah and Benjamin, are taken captive away to Babylon. And the very next day we're going to be in the book of Ezra. And Ezra is the story where Zerubbabel eventually is able to bring some of the children of Judah and Benjamin back into the land. We also have the record of Ezra returning, and then we also have in the book of Nehemiah, the next book, we have Nehemiah also returning from Babylon. So we have three migrations of the children of Judah and Benjamin who return back into the Holy Land. Then we find that they rebuild the walls of the city very, very quickly. They do it in troubled times. We also discover that Nehemiah leads a mighty revival. Now, a revival is simply a period of time in the history of God's people when the people of God return to the Lord their God with all their heart and all their soul and all their might. They are spiritually restored. We also have in the book of Nehemiah a reformation. And what we mean by a reformation is that Nehemiah is not just a religious leader, but he's also a political reformer. He changes things. He changes the political landscape as well as the religious landscape in order for the children of Israel to be established in the land. We then have the beautiful book of Esther, which is this beautiful story of this young Jewish girl who is in Persia, and because of circumstances not of her own making, she finds herself married to Ahasuerus, the greatest monarch that this world has ever known in his day. And this is where Esther, through the management of God in the world, brings about a deliverance of the children of Israel from the execution of the Persians. It is Haman who leads a great persecution of the children of God, and he wishes to hang all those amongst the children of Israel that will defy him. It's very interesting that in the history of the world, various empires have sought to persecute the children of Israel. For example, Egypt sought to drown the children of Israel. Babylon sought to burn the children of Israel. The Romans sought to crucify the children of Israel, and the Persians sought to hang them, and of course the Nazis sought to incinerate them. See, it's very interesting how the Lord has delivered the children of Israel through all these huge persecutions. We then have the introduction to the book of Job. Now, you're going to find that the book of Job is a very big book. It's the story of a righteous man amongst the Gentiles. This man was never a Jew. This man probably lived in the time of Abraham or just before. but he's a righteous man before God, and it's the story of his life. It's how that he comes into suffering that he doesn't understand is what is the reason for. He never probably ever understands why he's suffering. But it's also about how God can restore a man. No matter how low he gets, he can restore him. And it's also about all of the very best philosophy of this world doesn't answer the greatest needs of men. And then at the very end of the month, we're going to be delving into the book of Psalms. Now, those of you that know the Bible really well will know that there are 66 books in the Bible. However, you may not know that amongst the Psalms in all of the original Hebrew manuscripts, the book of Psalms was divided up into 5 individual books. And if you do redo your calculation, you're then going to find that in the Bible there are 70 books in the Bible, because the book of Psalms is actually 5 individual books. It's also very interesting that the 5 individual books have their counterpart to the 5 books of the Pentateuch: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers and Deuteronomy. And so in the Psalms we have 5 books which answer to the previous 5 books of the law. So there we are. That's something that's very, very interesting. So right at the end of the month, we're going to be looking at Psalms 1 to 16. What are Psalms? Well, Psalms is the hymn book of Israel. They're written not just by David, they're written by Moses, they're written by all sorts of prophets. And lots of them will write the Psalms. And it's very interesting that the Psalms is a sort of a theological summary of the whole of Israel's experience of God. It's what we would call a systematic theology. But what's very interesting and ironic is that the Psalms is a systematic theology given to Israel, but it's in the form of verse. It's in the form of song. These are songs to be sung. It's very interesting that the book of Esther was a book that was sung. It's also interesting that the book of Ruth was a book that was sung. We're going to find this very interesting. The old Hebrews looked upon the Old Testament very differently to the way in which Christians look upon them. And some of the books that we would think of as being just history are, for the children of Israel, songbooks. They are to be sung. And that's what we have with Psalms. We have a list of Psalms which are able to be sung, which will be in meter, but they will be telling the story not only of Israel's past, but of their present and of their future. What an amazing book that's going to be. Well, there we are. We're looking forward to you joining us in this journey. Each day come and just prayerfully read through the scriptures, read the commentary that we've put up, listen to the password as we share it with you each day, and allow God to take you on this amazing journey. By the end of the month, you will have completed, if you started in January, you will have completed half of the Old Testament. You won't just have read it, you'll have prayed about it, you will have studied it, and you'll have recorded perhaps some of your best insights. Well, we look forward to seeing you each day, and we wish you every blessing. God bless you all. Bye for now.